agenda, we have a budget hearing. So, roll call, please.
Dr. Brenner,
Here.
Dr. Katsula, Mr. Kozowitz,
Here.
Dr. Schumacher,
Here.
Mr. Suckner, Ms. Shield,
Here.
Dr. Burks. Here.
So we have a forum, and then we have a hearing on the proposed FY22.
Okay, well, Craig and I have a short presentation for you. Obviously, we've been talking about the budget since June, so we've been giving periodic updates. And this is a update. So we talked a little bit about the functions of the budget. I'm sorry. Instrument, the instrument for community review of expenditures. It reflects our strategic plan. We use it for planning and management. So again, it's not a one and done, you put it on the shelf and not think about it. We use it strategically on an ongoing basis. We report monthly against it, and it is a legal document and used during our audit. The calendar, just as a reminder, we adopted the tentative budget back on June 28th, and then we are required 30 days prior to today to publish a notice in the newspaper. We did publish that back in July. So we have the budget on display if anybody wanted to take the tentative budget, if anybody wants to take a look at it. And then tonight we're having the public hearing and adoption. Just as a reminder, within the funds of the budget, we have things we call operating funds, and then we have total funds. So operating funds are kind of our day-to-day fund. They include the ed fund, the O&M fund, transportation, IMRF, tort, and working cash. And then we have some longer-term funds, debt service, capital projects, and fire protection. So a lot of times we present to you both our operating surplus as well as our total surplus. And really, the total is just long-term pieces with debt and capital. So that's that. In terms of some of our significant assumptions for levy revenue, because it is on a delay, actually we used 1.4 for the upcoming levy, which was the CPI at the end of December of 2020. And we're still using our 50% collection rate. We have seen slightly higher, slightly higher than 50%, but for now we're still assuming that's going to kind of come back and regulate at that 50% level. Evidence-based funding, we did get confirmation that we will get our tier funding for EDF. So there's $500,000 related to that. Our categorical payments, right now, we're still assuming the 3 that we've historically assumed, again, based on some conservatism and a little worry about the state, whether or not they'll fund all those payments. And then as a reminder, we did again, we were able to use a 0% increase on benefits. So that's both for the district as well as employees. So there was no increase for employees and no increase to the district. The next set of assumptions, Mr. Wesley is going to talk to you a little bit about our CARES update.
Thank you, Mindy. So this was presented at the committee meeting on the 13th, but these are the Sr3 Restricted Funds. And as we view these funds as part of the general budget sense, we thought it would make sense to be included in here. So there's some restrictions, so to speak, on how we can use the Sr3 funds, specifically learning loss, summer enrichment, and after-school activities. And then the rest of that bucket is that $1.7 million that we will cover a variety of COVID expenses on, which I'll talk about on the next slide. So we met with the principals and the different members of the cabinet and developed these priorities. And as you can kind of see how we kind of split up the expenditures. The largest one is in programming, and most of that is with the actual Fox Club, the summer enrichment of the Fox Club, as well as our quarantine coaches. And then that addresses both learning loss and the social emotional learning. And then technology, that includes like the Chromebooks and some staff technology, but also the Master Connect we've been talking about a lot. So there's funds for that. And then just also we have a little bit of money in there for student experiences, including the outdoor learning spaces, using instruments and STEM. And then as you can imagine, the safety expenses were also included in there, which is self-certification and monitoring, furniture storage, etc. So that's just a snapshot of how we're planning to use the ESSER free funds.
When you guys see or you hear about the Fox Club activities, it's everything from some social emotional learning after school to transportation for those kids home at the elementary level. It could be tutoring, it could be chess club, it could be art. So it's a little bit of everything, as well as some things during the school day or some possible experiences going to the theater, things like that.
So how does it differ from student experiences?
I'm not sure your question.
Well, so looking at it's broken up. So there's 8% for student experiences. I'm just wondering how is that different?
So the programming aspect, is that what you're asking?
Well, the difference, yeah.
Yeah, the programming aspect is specifically after-school activities, extended summer activities, or then enrichment. So there is an overlap, you're correct. But if we're doing things during the school day, like if we're doing a reading club or something like that, that can be out of the student experience and not part of the program.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
And did you put all the Mastery Connect in the technology? Is that why that bucket's so big?
So the Mastery Connect is in the technology, except for like the learning coaches and the salary
That's under
aspect of it.
programming.
Was that a program? Yes. Thanks.
And just as a quick reminder, we did, parents had opportunities at multiple parts throughout this process to provide feedback to help inform some of the things that we wanted to do. So that was kind of an important piece of that, to make sure that people had that opportunity. Okay, there's no further questions. This kind of shows our last 2 years of actuals, our tentative and our final. And I'm only going to talk about a few significant changes within the federal bucket. Obviously, that's the CARES funding that we added in this latest version. And then the other sources, you'll see a huge number there. That's actually the recent bond refunding that we were working on. So that's kind of in and out. You'll see a big number in revenue, and then you'll see a big offsetting number in expense. But as a reminder, that's going to represent over the next 3 years approximately $1 million of savings to taxpayers by doing that refunding. So thanks to the board for being supportive of that, because that's great news. And then on the expense side, the differences, a lot of those are related to CARES funding or kind of year-end true-up funding, as well as some capital investments that once we saw where the numbers came in, and could look to, what could we afford to invest in capital. And that's really, a lot of that's related to the spend down of the non-referendum debt that we did at the end of last year. So that represents most of those differences. And then again, this is just kind of a walk down, and I'm not going to bore you with all the detail. We've gone through this, multiple times. A couple of the recent changes were special education tuition. Dr. Marcello does a good job on his team of assessing what students do we actually have in-house at the beginning of the school year, and then we update that tuition number accordingly. And then food service. Mr. Wesley did a great job. We looked at volumes this year. And if you remember, we're going to continue the summer food service program for this school year. And that's a pretty significant rate that we get on that. And we've seen, which is great news, significantly higher participation. So it is still free to students for the balance of this year. So we've definitely seen volumes well beyond what we've seen during my tenure. So we had to adjust both revenue and expense accordingly for that. And then as kind of a final reminder, we have the board policy that says our fund balance needs to be at least 20 to 30%. And so we look at that both on a total basis as well as on an individual fund basis. And so this is to show you that we are meeting that threshold at both the total level, which you can see on the prior sheet, as well as the individual fund level. And Mr. Wesley and I will look at this to inform us in terms of our upcoming levy and where we may want to, to move some funds, because we didn't spend as much in transportation, last year as we thought we might. That's a little bit higher of a number than we're used to seeing, so we can adjust that and move that levy into different funds as required.
I think although the fund balances are, percentages are higher than the board policy, we also have to keep in mind some of the facility work through Revolution 115 and other initiatives in the coming years.
That's a good point. So there's the $9 million from the end of last year. And there's also, as a reminder, about $4 million in our health insurance fund. So those are really restricted funds that we can't spend on anything else other than claims. So those are two big pieces of those numbers that are a little bit above what we would normally see.
Right.
Any additional?
One question. So you published this in July. Did anybody come to look at it?
No.
I wonder about priorities. Okay, that's. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ron, I know you worked hard with Mindy on this. Any comments?
I'm just actually really excited about how tight they made the budget this year and the work that's gone inside as far as over the last few years that I've seen it. Mindy and her team have done a phenomenal job of really getting it tighter and tighter all along. And I think it really represents exactly what our financial condition is.
And then an enormous gratitude to Mindy for seeking out the additional fund. That was $1 million savings to the taxpayers. That was incredible. So nice job, Mindy. Only question is obviously CPI is now 1.9.
No, but the current
Prior, okay.
Right, so the current CPI will impact our long-term projections.
So we won't see it in this budget. We'll
It
see
doesn't
in the
impact
next
the
budget.
current year because we're using the 1.4, which is a known CPI.
And
so.
we had a summer session this summer and we spent time on this as well. So this is not the first time we're interacting with this. So this is just kind of a process we go through.
Correct.
Mindy and her team does a wonderful job interacting with us throughout.
And then, you'll remember that the multi-year projections is something that we tend to bring in the fall or early winter, but it's something that we're continually updating and adjusting as we get more information. So
When will the audit be brought to the board?
it's actually probably not going to be brought until the November meeting.
We could nail something up.
Yes, yes.
Any comments from the public? This is a public hearing. Okay, so adjourn the budget hearing and roll call, please.
Dr. Brenner,
Here.
Dr. Katsula, Mr. Kozowitz,
Here.
Dr. Schumacher,
Here.
Mr. Sefner, Ms. Shields,
Here.
Dr. Burks.
Then we are going to open our business meeting and call to order. First.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now roll call, please.
Dr. Brenner,
Here.
Dr. Katsula, Mr. Kozowitz,
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher,
Here.
Mr. Sefner, Ms. Shields,
Here.
Dr. Burks.
Here. Let someone read the mission statement, please.
Cultivating learners who apply skills and experiences to enrich society.
Thank you, Mr. Kozowitz. And then we have Tony Morgan.
I'm not sure where I stand. Do I just sit up?
Yeah.
Wherever you like.
Wherever I like? Don't give me an English. Okay, good evening, board members. My name is Tony Morgan and I reside at 33 Hickory Lane in Oswego. Thank you. Good morning, or good evening, board members. My name is Tony Morgan and I reside at 33 Hickory Lane in Oswego. I'm a teacher here in Y115 and I would like to thank you all for your service and the time that you put into being board members. It is an especially delicate and important duty these days with all that's happening in the world. What you do matters in education and to those of us who are called to help educate our students. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of and in favor of support and positivity. To begin with, I believe that none of you would argue with the idea that support and positivity are a bad idea. They have a strong role to play in education. Science shows that our mental abilities are enhanced when positivity lights up the prefrontal areas of our brains. Studies show that high-performing business teams are created when members are given 2.5 positive moments for every negative one. We can do better, basically, when we feel better. What I would like to ask all of you is, how are you supporting and offering goodwill within our district? How do you feel we're doing here in Yorkville with supporting and encouraging staff and students while we ask more of them with each passing week? Are we making sure that teachers feel trusted and valued for the skills and capacities that they bring to their classrooms? Are we offering ongoing and coherent training when staff need to keep up with new initiatives? Do students feel that they are seen positively for the variety of abilities as well as their contribution to data charts? I really don't know all of the answers to these questions, but I did read a recent Gallup poll that showed that only 33% of US teachers are engaged in their work, while 51% are not engaged and 16% are actively disengaged. For students, it's 47% engaged, 29% not engaged, and the remainder is actively disengaged. I am an engaged teacher. I love my job and most of the challenges it entails. But I look around and I see members who are very qualified and capable, wondering if they should stay or go in the profession. They long for an environment where instead of being talked at, they are being engaged in a conversational exchange about how we can do better and not be torn in too many directions at once. They're really fine with change, but not so many changes that it feels like one is not solid yet before the next one is introduced and demanded. They're trying to not pass the pressure on the students, but to be honest, students probably know far better than anyone in this room the stress that their teachers are under. Young people are observant and savvy. They know when the teacher or another staff member needs relief. I came tonight only with questions. I do not have answers. I hope that each of you feels supported and encouraged in your role. I hope that you feel compelled to act in any way that you know that will contribute to helping our wonderful staff members in this worthy district move from the shadows of doubt back into the happy light of engagement. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then we have committee reports. We can do student success.
Thank you. 2 weeks ago, we had our Board of Education Committee meetings, and Student Success had 5 key items that we discussed. Dr. Baughman, as well as some of the district teachers and administrators, presented the summer school evaluation to us, shared some evaluation metrics, and shared just a lot of the good statistical information that we needed to know as far as how the summer went, how those enrichment programs went. So it was very enlightening. It was very well done. So thank you, Dr. Baughman and staff. We also discussed briefly our academic freedom policies. We've been working on a committee. We have further work to do. In fact, we have a meeting this coming Wednesday morning, which will hopefully start to solidify a lot of the things that we're working on in the committee, and then we'll bring it to the board for further discussion. We heard from Dr. Baughman about the interdisciplinary units of study through K through 6, and also heard some information about the administrative practices that will take place for the upcoming PSAT. And then finally had some updates to some of the board policies, which you see on tonight's agenda. Any questions?
Community learners, Ms. Shields.
Hi, Lynn. Just give me a second. I just want to pull it up again. So we discussed the COVID grants quite a bit, and those are part of our budget. It's going to be continue to be followed with us. With Mindy, she's going to give us periodic updates. It's several different levels of funding that are going to be difficult for them to manage, but I think they're going to, apply for everything what we need. And then in addition, we also discussed the EBF. looking at this again, this, it was a lot of, just all care and COVID funding and grants. Tim, for both this board meeting, this committee meeting, and as well as the other one, we had several policies that were presented that are going to be for review tonight. So went well.
And then operational excellence.
I would defer to Ms. Shields because I was not at that.
Oh,
meeting.
that's right.
Yeah, and we tabled sorry, I'm going back and forth to my agendas. We tabled the Memorandum of Understanding, and we just had updates on board policies. It was a very quick one.
Thank you, Ms. Shields.
Mhm.
I don't believe partnership on community. So thank you. Also, if you notice in the board packet, there's summaries. And so be more transparent of the committee meetings. The public and the stakeholders can also look at those summaries, including the staff and the teachers, so they can also make sure that they're aware of what's happening in the community. So we're trying to make sure we have multiple ways for you to see what's happening in the community. And always encourage people to attend. Alrighty, and then, so we talk about positivity and celebration. One of the wonderful things that we do is the Heart of the Fox recognition. And so it's glad to have this back.
Yes, first one of the year, and Michelle Briner, principal of Grand Reserve Elementary, as well as some of her astute colleagues will present the Heart of the Fox this evening. I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Nice to see you all. Good evening. So it's interesting to be up here tonight. This is my first Heart of the Fox since taking over as principal in March of 2020. We were supposed to present that month and didn't because of COVID, and then last year they were canceled. So we kind of have quite a few things to take you through, but hopefully it won't take up too much of your time. I don't do anything about notes, so sorry. Okay. So 1920 started like any other year. We started that photos, we did our foxtrot, we had Halloween parties, everything was pretty normal. And we were proud to highlight all of the awesome things that were going on at Grand Reserve. We had our cross-curricular planning, we had students reading to, older students reading with younger students, a lot of things happening in that capacity. Our passion projects, all the while supporting our district curriculum and community involvement. So we had our Read Across America Week. Oh, and our students created drawing robots in art class and composed art symphonies and music. It was a big hit with our author. We had QR codes developed and recorded all of the information. Mrs. Moss, our fourth grade teacher, attended an Art of Ed professional development. And upon her return, we decided to use create inflatable art in the style of our Chicago artist Nick Cage to support the Grand Reserve Winter Music Program. So as the students sang and presented, we had inflatable pieces on display.
Hi, I'm Nicole Nagels. I teach 6th grade language and arts. Okay, sure. So the pictures that you see on the screen right now are some of our passion projects, things that our staff and students love doing at that point in the year. So you can see in the far right picture, we have second graders who got to experience what life was like in the 1800s. Many of them might assume the 1980s was old, but in this case, it was much older. Then our third grade team created their biography projects. The students got to research a person of their choice, and then they got to become that person and present to parents and kids in the school. Our 6th grade team, you can see a couple examples up there, created our planet projects. They researched a planet or created a planet of their own based on some stipulations and some requirements. And those are those pictures. And then finally, due to COVID, eventually our science fair had to go virtual that year. So you'll see that mentioned up there, that students had to present online. So students had to learn very quickly how to use Screencastify or other measures to present their work. Then we had a lot of community involvement going on early in the 1920 school year. You can see some of the pictures up here. Our 5th grade team entered a regional bridge building contest through 4-H that was very successful. We also had some community therapy dogs come in and visit our 3rd grade, where they talked about what it means to be a therapy dog and how you can, host a therapy dog. We had some career type job people come in to talk about what 1st graders could do when they get older. We also had students created a giving tree to collect things for families in our community that needed a little bit more. And then one of the pride of Grand Reserve is the final thing listed is our Veterans Day celebration. We have a great turnout every year, pre-COVID obviously, of veterans from various families at Grand Reserve, and they love talking to the kids, and the kids really enjoy listening to their stories.
And then March of 2020 changed the game. And so we all pivoted and worked together and persevered. Some great things really came out of that quarter. Our students were home remotely, which was not great, but our staff did a lot of things to make it great for them. So Mr. McHugh has always read our morning announcements, and he did a daily YouTube video so that the students still had their morning announcements to start their day. Bookmobile was kicked off with our Y115 librarians, and that was a big success, held at York Book Grade, and students could come through and pick up books. And everyone persevered and adapted. And so that was kind of the 4th quarter of that year. And we made it through the ups and downs. And we're ready in August to welcome back students. So we did a lot of planning over the summer. The goal was the safe return of all of our students. And the 2021 school year was met. Hold on, hope it's better. The 2021 school year was met with masks, social distancing, different learning modalities, and many other changes. However, there was no shortage of smiles and positive attitudes to greet our students and to be back in the building. It was a great relief. And now you get to hear about how we're gonna rock this school year.
You can go ahead. So the next one is a video of Mr. McHugh, our music teacher. Yay, exactly. Music teacher, part of our wonderful fine arts project at Grand Reserve. So every year at our Christmas concert, or excuse me, our winter concert, the kids always do some type of sing-along at the end. So obviously this past school year, we could not gather for that. So Mr. McHugh, right before Christmas break, I believe, let us sing along through our announcements. So this is a little bit of that.
Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Exactly, yeah, for sure. So the kids still got to experience that. Even though we couldn't be together, we could still celebrate the holidays together. So these are just some the beginning of examples of pictures of what we did in the 2021 school year. We really tried to focus a lot on the student, and that's continuing into this year as well. These kids have been through a lot these past 2 years. And so we really want to make sure that they are ready to be here, that they're excited to be at school. Yes, there are changes, but that doesn't mean that, we don't love them any less. Make sure that they really love them. Go ahead. Okay. So here are just a smattering of some of our passion projects and that support our curriculum from this past school year. So obviously many of our concerts had to be held outside for social distancing purposes. I remember last year our band and orchestra and choir students found it very interesting to be singing and playing outside, and we talked a lot about how that's much different. You get a much different sound playing and singing outside. So there's a picture at the top of our, I think it's the band playing. We had a drive-through art show, and there's the middle picture is just what welcome to the students. And you'll see scattered throughout here some examples. Lindsay Moss, another one of our fine arts teachers who's amazing and did such great work last year with art, had the kids create, they probably about as big as 2 of your tables up here, artwork for each grade level and had it displayed, and the families could drive through. There was music playing on a certain radio channel, just so that the kids could celebrate. And I believe there was a food truck afterwards, correct, that parents and families could participate in. The 5th grade did their virtual science fair again last year. The bottom picture is actually the adaptation that 3rd grade made to their wax museum. So since they couldn't invite people in, they did it on little bottles instead and presented that way. We still wanted to make sure we included obviously our hybrid and remote students as well, because they're just as important. So one of our remote 2nd grade teachers talked a lot about how every Friday the kids would gather on Zoom and they would have social hour based. They would just talk together. They liked to follow certain people on YouTube for drawing videos, and they would work together for that. And then the remote teacher also told me that they performed readers theater for the parents, which of course, cute little 2nd graders do that. And then finally, the kids were very excited at the end of the year for field day, that they could be outside pretty much all day. And then that's the picture on the far right, that they could play and they could run around and still have fun, despite what a year it had been. Then our community involvement. So I listed again our art show up there just because we, invited our community members to come out. But then we have some others as well that come and see. We have virtual author visits. So in the upper right-hand corner, that author's name is Alan Gratz. He's a well-known historical fiction author. The book featured up there is called Ground Zero, about the September 11th tragedy. The students really enjoyed meeting him, and he really inspired a lot of kids to learn and research more about 9/11. Hoover Outdoor Ed came to our school instead of us going there, so that's the bottom right picture, and still talked about biodiversity, did leadership training, did all sorts of fun games talking about nature outside. We also had a drive-in winter music concert. That's the middle picture up there, where parents could come and watch a video recording of our students singing. They tuned into a certain radio channel so they could hear it. And on the bottom left picture, we had a lot of staff recognition last year. Our staff was amazing last year in pivoting and changes and everything. We had so many parents and faculty nominate each other to recognize all the great things that we did. And that's one of my favorite pictures from the art show of Bob Ross. The students love talking about him. So we sent out a Google form to our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, asking them about last year, reflecting back on the 2021 school year. And this is just a smattering of quotes from various students and then 2 staff members. You can look on there, if you look at what is highlighted, basically students seem to be really happy with how things went. They loved seeing each other. They loved talking with each other. Yes, masks were new. Yes, you had to social distance. But my favorite one is probably Tyler H., the 4th grade, that it was really fun. That's what he typed into his, so I thought that was really cute. My favorite, though, is also Jessica G. from 6th grade, really talking about, despite everything, she really appreciated what her teachers did for her last year. Go ahead. So finally, here are our hopes and dreams for this school year. Within that same Google form, we asked the students, what are your goals for this year? What are your hopes and dreams for this year? So I did quote a couple of students, but then you'll notice there are just a couple of statements on there. The more time outside, learning new things, and learn more things, making new friends, and to do well in school. Those 4 statements were common throughout every single Google form that we received back, and we received over 100 back from our students, which is a great turnout. So I thought I would just include those because that really shows you what our students are looking forward to in this school year. And then just some pictures that highlight some of the things we did last year that will be incorporated in this year as well.
So we just want to give a great big thank you to you guys for all of your support, and then our staff and our families at Grand Reserve. We appreciate the opportunity to share what makes our staff and students So great, without grand reserve. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the hopes and dreams. All right, consent agenda, and I will need that entire statement read. Gary's not here, so.
I'm not sure. So, motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, approve the minutes of the August 23rd, 2021 Board of Education meeting, August 23rd, 2021 executive session, September 13th, 2021 committee meeting, the activities fund report for August 2021, the final bills and claims for August 2021, in the amount of $878,284.56. The bills and claims for September 2021 in the amount of $1,531,498.25. FOIA request received on August 25th, 2021, and responded to on August 27th, 2021, from Jennifer McDonald at former local 130, requesting all contracts for American Backflow and Fire Prevention Company. FOIA requests received on September 2nd, 2021, and responded to on September 2nd, 2021, from LB requesting all administration and non-certified salaries for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. FOIA requests received on September 6th, 2021, responded to on September 8th, 2021, from Angel Tornes and Steel and Company requesting all active leases, licenses for cell towers, rooftop antennas, or other wireless installations on property owned or managed by Yorkville Community Unit in the School District 115. FOIA request received on September 13th, 2021, and responded to on September 14th, 2021, from Christopher Lackey requesting the contract with Septran for bus drivers for bus services. FOIA request received on September 10th, 2021, and responded to on September 15th, 2021, from Ronnie Davis at Data Research Partners, requesting all Yorkville employees' first and last names, email, title, position, and location. FOIA request received on September 16th, 2021, and responded to on September 21st, 2021, from Vince Espy from the local labs, requesting a list of all materials that fall under the 1619 project. Destroy the December 9th, 2019 executive session report.
Second.
Moved and seconded, additional comments?
Jackie's been very busy with FOIA requests.
I see that.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
keep coming.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Brenner,
Yeah.
Mr. Kozowitz,
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher,
Yes.
Ms. Shields,
Yes.
and Dr. Burks.
Yes. And then on to treasurer report.
I'll be really quick. You see there, right now, we're not reporting against the budget yet because we haven't gotten the budget approved, so it's really just versus prior year. So next month, we'll see the budget. Biggest difference one is the tax levy, and that's just the timing that in 2020, we saw a much bigger kind of slide over into the following fiscal year. And benefits actually is up, and that's because we saw a lot more people going to the doctor this summer than they did in the prior summer. So that again is something we'll continue to watch. So some of that could be timing. We saw some additional expenses for summer school and some of the things that we put in place this year, and also that included things for transportation for students to encourage more people to participate. And then from a state payment perspective, Dr. Brenner, we were only behind on one, which was our special ed orphanage claim, but we have since gotten that in September. So we only have a few small driver's ed payments that are still outstanding with the state as of now. And then transition fees continue to be strong this past month with $93,000 in the Grand Reserve subdivision, and then a little over $46,000 outside of that within the rest of our district. So
Make a motion to approve the treasury report as presented. Second.
Moved and second, additional comments, roll call please.
Mr. Kozowitz?
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher?
Yes.
Dr. Brunner?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
And Dr. Burks?
Yes. Then on to personnel recommendation, and we have administrative salary and benefit report.
Yeah, just to note, items 7.01, the administrative salary benefit report, 7.02, the certified salary and benefits report, and 7.03, the non-certified salary and benefits report, all keep us in compliance with Public Act and are posted each year prior to October 1st. And we need a motion to place these on file.
Motion to accept the 2021-2022 administrative salary and benefits report and place it on file.
Second.
Moved in second, any additional comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Accepted. And then we have the certified salary, so we need that motion.
Motion to accept the 2021-2022 certified salary and benefits report and place it on file. Second.
Moved in second, additional comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Accepted. And then we have the non-cert salary benefit report. Need a motion, please.
Motion to accept the 2021-2022 non-certified salary and benefits report and place it on file.
Second.
Moved in second, additional comments?
Just one other comment that in this particular item, we do have many more staff members that are non-certified, but we're only required to report those that make more than $75,000.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Report accepted. Okay. Thank you. Then we have some co-curricular hires.
Motion to approve the co-curricular hires as presented. Second.
Moved in second, any additional comments? Other than I'm thrilled to see so many students doing so many things and so many staff members leading, so love it. Love it, love it, love it. Good stuff. All right, roll call please.
Dr. Schumacher?
Yes.
Mr. Kozowitz?
Yes.
Dr. Brunner?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Dr. Burks?
Yes. Then we have some co-curricular resignations.
Motion to approve the co-curricular resignation as presented.
Moved in second, additional comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Then we have some resignations.
Motion to approve the resignation as presented. Second.
Moved in second, additional comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then last, we have some hires.
Motion to approve the hires as presented.
Second.
Moved in second, additional comments? Roll call please.
Dr. Schumacher?
Yes.
Dr. Brunner?
Yes.
Mr. Kozowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Dr. Burks?
Yes. Then on to new business, and we have the approval of food service contract extension for FY22 school year.
Yeah, just quick, we talked about this at the committee meeting, and we had already approved this amount. Historically, we paid it as a quarterly payment. This year ISB is making us put it into the rate. So this is just to approve it as part of the rate rather than the quarterly payment as previously.
Need a motion, please?
Motion to approve the COVID-19 emergency contract amendment for school year 2021-2022 food management service / vendor meal services nonprofit food services program to increase the per meal reimbursable lunch pricing based on the previously approved Illinois fixed minimum wage increase above and beyond the contracted CPI index.
Second.
Moved and second, additional discussion? Roll call please.
Mr. Kozowitz?
Yes.
Dr. Brunner?
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Dr. Burks?
Yes. And then we have the FY22 budget.
Motion to adopt the 2021-2022 Yorkville Community Unit School District 115 budget as presented at this very meeting.
Second.
You guys second?
Yes.
Any additional comments? Roll call please.
Dr. Brunner?
Yes.
Mr. Kozowitz?
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Dr. Burks?
Yes. And then, again, I know it seems like we're going through things quickly, but especially like the food service contract, committee has kept us up to date even since last spring. So all these things have been discussed and turned upside down. And last, we have some policies on this.
Motion to place attached District 115 Board of Education policies on display as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then we have some news, celebrations, and reminders.
Yeah, just some quick updates. Homecoming week started today, so District 115 is certainly fully entrenched in that. Tomorrow night's the bonfire, and fire puff on Wednesday, and parade on Thursday. Parade is line up at 5 p.m. with a parade at 6. So if you're in the area, I want to come on by. Certainly love to have you. A lot of floats, I believe, are being developed. I think the cabinet sort of created one this evening, if I remember correctly. And then obviously the football game Friday night and the dance on Saturday. Kudos to the high school. David and his team have been trying to be as creative as they can to get as many kids an opportunity for a traditional homecoming, brings a sense of normalcy. So they're doing it out back by the athletic lobby outside. And Heather, her team are supporting, and all the staff, and so really happy for that opportunity and make it safe, but certainly make it a fun event for the kids. YHS has 88 AP scholars. David and his team have seen a great deal of growth in that area over the years. Certainly, although we probably took a little bit of a dip, it's not certainly a surprise given the year that we just had, but certainly great recognition for all those students and the high school staff and leadership there. Our marching foxes took first place overall this past weekend in DeKalb, I believe, and first in percussion as well, and in color guard. So exciting to see our music kids back in action and doing what they do so well. Intermediate school had a 4-day book fair and raised about $9,000. So a quick turnaround, but a lot of success with Laura King and Steve and your team and Kimber and all the staff who helped out there. And then if you're in the area by Yorkville Grade, today they had the ground poured of the colorful outdoor learning area. So Emily's been anxiously irritating Heather and me, and she finally got her wish today. And the next step is to let that cure for 48 hours, I believe, and then the fence will go in, and our team's building a stage there and done a lot of sensory things for our learning activities. So certainly, I'm sure Emily will invite you over there once it's fully complete. And then Emily also has a family literacy fall night coming up in mid-October. I know we have a district-wide author visit coming mid-October that I'm sure Steph McHugh will invite the board to. So be on the lookout for that email. I talked to her today, and she was eagerly awaiting that more information. But and then I want to have Dr. Baughman give an update on staff testing for our COVID, just how it's going. And
yeah, so this evening we hosted our second testing event, weekly testing event. Last week we tested 139 staff members that were here on campus. Our original plans were to have a 4-hour testing event every Monday, which I've taken the board on. It seems that we are much more efficient than we originally thought we would be. And so next week we'll drop that down to 2 hours, which from a budgetary standpoint, it will carry about half the personnel costs that I originally reported throughout the year.
And I appreciate all the work Nick and Melinda Lasky have put into this, and Heather's team and Ryan's team, and really from a heroic effort by everybody. It's not perfect. Certainly our day-to-day operations aren't perfect. We brought 6,600 kids back, and for our district, all the mitigation strategies are still in place that we've always had. So are we going to make mistakes now and then? Yes, we are. But it's not a lack of people's work ethic. It's not a lack of their intentions, and certainly their care for our kids and our staff. Our staff are tired. Our principals are tired. Everyone's tired. But they're coming to work every day. They're focusing on trying to certainly bring back any of the deficits in learning to try and create new engaging opportunities, new experiences. So I think the board should be very proud of the staff and our administrators and our teachers in the classrooms and It's been hard. It's been a hard start. People are tired, but they're doing it with smiles on their face, and they're doing it for the right reasons. So I'm very proud at the start of the year, about halfway through the first quarter here. We'll be getting our MAP scores coming back any day now. Our principals are anxiously waiting as they're working with their school improvement teams to create our first semester and annual goals. We'll be meeting with our buildings at the end of October to talk about how those action plans are being implemented and the work that they're doing. But by all accounts, it's been a good start to the year.
And then we do have an executive session. We may have motion potentially, but I will need that read in.
Make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel of the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel or the public body to determine its validity, 5 ILCS 120/2, (C)(1), the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose or discussion whether a particular parcel should be acquired, 5 ILCS 120/2, (C)(5), and the collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives, 5 ILCS 120/2, (C)(2).
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kozowitz?
Yes.
Dr. Brenner?
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Dr. Burke?
Yes. We can take a couple minute break and move into executive session. Thank you, everybody.
we're back.
Sure we are.
Ashley and Jason, you still there?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Roll call. Dr. Brenner. Here. Dr. Burks.
Here.
Dr. Schumacher. Here. Jason. Ashley. Tom. Yes.
Okay, we have two motions. I want to do the first one.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding. Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Dr. Brenner.
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher. Yes. Dr. Burks.
Yes.
Mr. Sefner.
Yes.
Ms. Shields.
Yes.
Mr. Cotter. Yes.
And there's another motion for the COVID-19 sick bank approval.
Motion to approve the COVID-19 sick bank approval.
Moved and seconded. Additional discussion. Roll call, please.
Dr. Brenner.
Yes.
Dr. Schumacher.
Yes.
Dr. Burks.
Yes.
Ms. Shields.
Yes.
Mr. Sefner.
Yes.
And me.
Sure.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
9:10.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.